All right. Hello, everyone, students and supporters. This is the fifth episode of On the Couch with the Dogs Board. I am by myself again, but we have another special guest, and his name is EvilJagan. He is a YouTuber, a member of the highest winning esports team documented in history, and he's a internet personality. But enough for me. I will let Jagan introduce himself.
All right, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy, EvilJagan. And like my good friend Dr. Clark said, yes, I am a YouTuber. I prefer the term content creator, because I feel when people say that they're just a YouTuber, it means like all of their stuff is just strictly on YouTube. But I do create content on the internet. It's primarily gaming based, so it's one of my biggest hobbies. Part of Empire Arcadia, most people will know it as EMP. Over 2,000 tournament wins, and we are recognized as the most winning esports team in the world. That's certified by Guinness. It's even in Team Liquid's wiki page, acknowledging that as well. So I'm just get ready for the interview, man. What questions do you have for me? I'm ready to go.
Okay, so number one, please tell what for the game Fate Grand Order. How did you begin making videos around the game, or really how did you begin playing the game? Period.
Okay, since Fate Grand Order is what I'm probably most known for in terms of the videos that I make, and it dominates my channel for the videos that are public. So how I actually got or found out about the Fate universe, or the Nasuverse, if you want to get really specific, by the series creator, I'm a big fighting game player. So Empire Arcadia, that's actually incorrect. What we're most well known for are the players and championships we've won in fighting games. So growing up as a kid, I went to the arcades, and I was actually a Dance Dance Revolution player, believe it or not. I didn't touch fighting games, but I saw this interesting game called Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and the I have this little thing when it comes to games that I usually don't play a game unless there's a black character in it. So I immediately gravitated towards Sean. Now, I had played Street Fighter in the past, but Street Fighter 3 was really what got me into fighting games. Now, due to my nature in gaming in general, I kind of played a little bit of everything. So any game that was free to play, I kind of got my hands in. And there was this fighting engine in which you could create your own like fighting game. So you can get like Homer from The Simpsons versus Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. It was a crazy game. It's called Mugen, however you want to pronounce it. And a couple of the characters were from this game called Melty Blood. And Melty Blood is kind of what started my path down the Type Moon type universe. So that's how I ended up getting into the Fate series. Now, the Fate series began with a visual novel, and the visual novel is called Fate Stay Night. So around the year 2013, 2014, I ended up reading the entire visual novel, and I've just been a fan of Fate since then. So kind of segueing into Grand Order, which kind of a no-brainer, because it was like, oh man, this is the Fate visual novel that I love, a part of the same universe as Tsukihime and Melty Blood, which are all these other characters I love playing growing up. So that's how I got into Fate. And as far as making videos, I just started by helping other people how to play the game on PC, because for whatever reason, Grand Order doesn't play the best on phones. And since, I built my computer in terms of making content and playing games, I don't really need a $1,000 phone. I used to sell the cell phones as for a living, so I know this stuff isn't worth thousands of dollars. So my first videos were just getting people to play it on PC and showing them that they could play on PC, and then I just kind of went on creating content from there.
Wow, that's a very that's a very intricate story, very more intricate than I actually thought it would be. Because I know you mentioned Mugen. There's probably one of the most popular, I would say, organized, and I put those in quotes. Mugen game out now is think Hyper Dragon Ball Z.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably my favorite as well, not just being popular. But okay, next question. So how so since you're part of the Fate Grand community, how I would say positive do you think that community is towards you and the type of content that you make?
That's now we're getting to the good stuff. So, in terms of being like a Fate Grand Order content creator, I'm definitely on the smaller side. Outside of kind of creating videos, I would create like tutorials of how to play the game because I had been playing the game for a couple years, and since the base game is in Japanese, a lot of the people who primarily speak English, such as myself, it's kind of hard to know what you're doing. Because let me explain a little bit what Grand Order is. Grand Order is a kind of a hero collector, I guess what they would call it in the West. But in Japan, it runs off the Gachapon system. If you're unfamiliar with the Gachapon, think of Overwatch and think of any game that has a loot box. And pretty much you buy in-game currency with real money, and then you essentially go into a lottery system, and then the most wanted items or skins or characters, etc., they have a very low chance of you actually obtaining that item. How the Gachapons work is that you have to throw a bunch of money at the game, and then you have to hope that you get your favorite servants. How the community has kind of responded to me, to getting back to the question, is overall, in terms of direct interaction with me, it's been mostly positive. I'm kind of I would say the black sheep. I'm not someone who is a shill for Delightworks, Aniplex, Sony. Those are the companies that are involved in the ownership of Grand Order. So I'm not one to say, like, I'm kind of anti-stance, like, don't spend money on the game. Play it on an emulator. Buy an account off someone else to kind of circumvent the terrible gacha system that's worse than actual casinos. Like, people don't really realize that there's dudes like the Wall Street Journal. This video has millions of views. They did an article and made a video on some dude in Japan who spent over $70,000 in the game. And I've made videos on this. Some dude spent $8,500 trying to get his specific servant. That's what they're called in Grand Order, these characters. And he was streaming at the time, and he was on the Japanese streaming service called Nico Nico, and he was actually banning people that were making fun of him for spending so much money on the game. Because I'm not like pro the game, I'm kind of like anti in that stance. That has kind of rubbed people the wrong way, which is fine. And I've gotten some negative feedback, but for the most part, I'm comfortable in the stance that I take, because not only in just terms of content creation, but in real life, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything.
Very well said. Very well said. Speaking of that, because I can tell, I know, and it's not just with Fate Grand, but from me doing research, I see a lot of the anime or Japanese-oriented game communities have gotten some flack from different people, especially with how they show underage girls. Would you say that the Fate Grand community has that problem, or more so, or have you even noticed that while being part of that community?
So what you're referring to is the sexualization of obviously underage girls. Most people, if you're into anime, will know these as the lowly characters. There's this is we kind of go down a rabbit hole when you get to this. I'll try to explain this as concise as I can. It isn't a Fate Grand Order problem per se, but they definitely don't help the situation, and let me explain why. So, Fate Grand Order, or the Fate universe in general, kind of going back to the original visual novel that's kicked it all off, is they're very big with, is it gender bends? Or basically a historically famous character that is male, such as King Arthur, is actually a female.
Right.
And now that if you're unfamiliar, that may sound kind of weird, but it actually works. It actually works with the story. The problem is that there is a large amount of characters that are clearly underage and they're really over sexualized. There's a character people may know as the famous figure of Jack the Ripper. You may have heard the story, heard the lore about him. Well, Jack the Ripper is a underage lowly type character that is wearing clothing that is, it's like if a real person were to wear this, okay, let me just say it like this. It's basically a little girl is in bra and panties, very thin bra and panties.
Wow.
So, and I've done this in my live streams where in Fate Grand Order, there's different ascension stages. So as you level up this character, typically the less clothing they have. I personally have to keep Jack the Ripper in her first ascension stage where she's completely covered up. Because she is a good character within the game, but I don't condone the whole lowly, sexualization of underage girls and things of that nature. Getting back to your question, after providing this backstory in a little bit of detail, in parts of Japan, the age of consent is 13, which is ridiculous. Now, to be fair, a lot of territories and districts, they'll bump up that age of consent up to 18, so it's not as widespread, but that kind of explains why you see so much of it within the anime community. Definitely, there's people who kind of take that too far, and I've actually gotten negative feedback and actually been attacked for holding the stance that, hey, you really shouldn't post these images or, go so hard with, even as a, when some people are joking and you're like, it's a joke, but there's truth within the joke. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so that's what I was kind of against, and I got flack for that. But that's not a Grand Order problem. That's more of just an anime community problem. And people such as myself, such as Bob Samurai, he's spoken out against it. And whenever he makes an anti-lowly type video for his YouTube channel, he gets tons of dislikes. They don't leave comments; they just leave dislikes, which is crazy how dudes are willing to defend borderline pedophilia.
Yeah, it's shocking, especially for people who are uninitiated. But that's one of those things I say where a particular niche community of people gives the broader community a bad name.
Right.
But okay, going on to this. I've also noticed from your content too that you make Fortnite videos, or you have made videos about Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, what do you think about the almost overnight cultural phenomenon that game has turned into?
That's a very good question. Now, see, I've been playing Battle Royale games since 2015, once they initially started blowing up. So Fortnite's success is a culmination of a lot of factors happening. So we have to actually go back to around 2015. This is when the H1Z1, the game, is very popular. It's number one on Steam. It's dominating the Twitch charts. It's up there with League of Legends on some days, outside of the big tournaments, obviously. So that was H1Z1 kind of spawned in like a mini era on Steam for the PC gaming community, where games were coming out as early access. And what that means is the game is not finished. You purchase the game and you play the game and you give the developers feedback. So then once the game fully releases, you have a good, stable game, and you get benefits for being kind of like an early adopter. So you get like special founders-only skins or weapons or bonuses within the game. So there's an incentive to do that. So games such as DayZ had this model. Games and DayZ was an Arma mod, and Arma is a big open sandbox, and they have had, battle royale games, but it was never up to the scale. So when H1Z1 came out and kind of took the world by storm, it was very fun. Everyone's playing it. Still to this day, that's my favorite battle royale. But what happened was they changed the map. Various glitches didn't get fixed, and it kind of seemed like the developer took everybody's early access money, got rich, and was like, okay, we're not going to fix the game. I don't know, Dr. Clark, are you familiar with the term China number one?
No, I've never heard that term before, I don't think.
Okay, so that was big online with the H1Z1 community because one of the issues that a lot of players complained about was there was a huge influx of Chinese players playing on the North American servers. Everyone was asking for a region lock so we can be separated from the Chinese. Now that may, outside of take it outside the context, like, oh my goodness, you're racist and all this other stuff. No, it's not like that. The problem with the huge, for those who don't know about China, China does not care about anything. They don't care about copyright. They don't care about hacking the game. So you join an H1Z1 match, and you have 10 million Chinese people talking about China number one. Then the American players or the European players who don't like the Chinese players, they're talking crap about China, and this is all in the pre-game lobby. We're not even shooting and killing each other yet. These dudes everyone has their microphone on, and they're just screaming at each other. And then the Chinese players ended up hacking the game, which is ruining everyone's experience. So the player base kind of got fed up, and then you move on to Player Unknown's Battlegrounds. Now, Player Unknown had a big part in H1Z1, and he was like, okay, I'm just going to create my own game. Bluehole Studios, or the company, makes PUBG Battlegrounds. Game is big, and, again, same thing as H1Z1. It's even bigger than H1Z1, actually. Streams are lit. There's a lot of players trying the game. Everyone's having a good time, but bugs, glitches are not being fixed. The company got rich, and things aren't really moving along. Fortnite comes in and it's like, oh, we have our own game. We'll make a battle royale mode, and Fortnite kind of just dropped at the perfect time. It was more stable. In order to play PUBG Battlegrounds, you need to have a very high-end PC and graphics card. Fortnite doesn't require that. Fortnite is a much lower graphically intense game. Fortnite's cartoony style allows it to be a little bit more innovative. H1Z1 and PUBG, they're more military shooters, with H1Z1 being a more arcadey military shooter. So there's really not much you can break outside the box in terms of PUBG, but Fortnite, you can have rocket launchers, you can have jetpacks. They had a Thanos mode when Infinity War came out. So it was just, Fortnite being popular was a mix of a lot of factors of two big games failing and a lot of players looking for a stable battle royale game. Fortnite did everything correct, and then Ninja was getting really popular. Drake hops on with Ninja, and then Fortnite goes completely mainstream, and now it's everywhere. You have popular hip-hop and Korean dances inside the game. They're just doing everything correct, and everyone loves it. And my final point, the biggest thing that makes Fortnite huge is that no matter what gaming device you have, you can play with your friends. With the exception of PS4, because they're kind of weird with that. They don't want to play with other consoles. But me on PC, I played with someone on iPhone. I can play with someone on the Nintendo Switch. I can play with someone on the PS4. I can play with someone on the Xbox 360. There's no barrier to entry in terms of crossplay. So that's just what it is. It was just the perfect formula. Sugar, spice, and everything nice. Shout out to the Powerpuff Girls.
Exactly, because I even heard a rumor, which has been confirmed, it's a rumor, everyone. So if everyone wants me to make a video about it or some type of social media post, I can. There's even a rumor that that Disney was making a Fortnite TV series. That's how big it got.
Mm-hmm.
So, so so really, overall, how would you? Because I know you are very prominent at what you do. YouTube has changed its guidelines over. I mean, they've changed it multiple times over me watching it, but especially you as a content creator. I know YouTube's changing guidelines, especially within the past few years, have really affected you. Would you say they have affected you positively or negatively overall?
How the YouTube guidelines. So here's the thing: whenever YouTube makes a big change, this is the cycle. Everybody cries, "Oh, YouTube is dead! Oh, we need to go to another platform," and all this other nonsense. Look, YouTube is the biggest video sharing site in the world. A lot of people don't know that YouTube, outside of a couple years ago, wasn't even making a profit. Google is one of the only, or technically Alphabet, is one of the only companies in the world that could have ran a site like YouTube at a loss for so long for it to even be successful. So that's number one. Number two, everyone who kind of looks for let's see, like an alternative source, it's a lose-lose situation. If you are, let's say you're PewDiePie, you're the biggest YouTuber in the world, and you say, okay, well, I'm going to go to some other service. Yeah, you bring your fans on, but your fans still use YouTube. Everybody still uses YouTube. So going to another platform is just going to lose you more money. And we've seen other platforms. Vid.me, oh, what happened to them? They closed. You can put your stuff on Dailymotion. Who's going to care about that? No one's going to see it. That's number two. Number three is people they have a tendency to just look at what other people say, and they don't actually read the thing. So the biggest change that got everyone up in arms in terms of the YouTube community guidelines and was the partnership program. Now the partnership program changed to where you have to have 1,000 subscribers and 10,000 minutes of watch time. Now everyone's like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to be able to be a YouTube partner. I'm never going to be this big YouTuber. YouTube's only favoring the big content creators. So hold on a second. Even if you have just 1,000 subscribers and 10,000 minutes of watch time, guess how much money you're going to make? Nothing. Because you're going to make literal pennies or fractions of a penny on your minimal views that you're getting if you only have 1,000 subscribers and 10,000 minutes of watch time. If it's a struggle for you to even get that, you're not going to make any money. People don't know that you don't get paid on YouTube unless you make a minimum of $100. And that $100, YouTube takes 35% of that. So the dudes that are complaining is you got to really sit down, shut up, and grind. Well, I've been on YouTube since 2009. And when I got into YouTube, it wasn't for money. When I'm doing YouTube, it's not for money because a lot of people have this misconception that, because a video is 5 minutes, that's all it takes to produce the video, which is not true. I mean, my process to produce a video, if I use a script, I have to write the script, I have to research the topic I'm talking about, I have to provide images, I have to make the thumbnail, I have to record it, re-record, I have to edit it, all that takes time. And if I put in all the hours I put into the videos into something that makes me more money, whatever I would do that makes me money would make me 10 times more than YouTube. So I think a lot of people, they just cry for no reason, and they look at things with such tunnel vision that it's honestly amazing.
All right, because especially what you said about producing, I know, and also Derek, the hip-hop historian, we both know what it's like to produce content and videos and things, the amount of editing and make sure you get the perfect audio and to make sure you know what you're talking about. So I know exactly what you're talking about with there. But okay, now moving to this topic, being a man of color and producing the type of content you make, have you ever met any, I would say, potential adversity about that in either, let's say, your online or personal life?
Well, to be honest, I haven't had much adversity, obviously we know it's a factor, and I like to use that to my advantage. Being a fellow Wakandan, person of color, Zambezi as well, and being of Nigerian descent, when I grew up, being into video games, being into anime, the stuff wasn't cool, and I've always been kind of like the bridge, and that's kind of what, whenever I do my live stream, is what I like to project. You can like anime and not run around your grocery store like Naruto. You can read manga, which is just comic books, and not power up like a Super Saiyan in the middle of the street. So what I do purposely, I mentioned earlier that, Street Fighter 3 was kind of the game that got me into playing, fighting games. I keep my profile picture as Sean from Third Strike, and I do that for a reason. I do it for if there's any other person who's like me, and they're like, if they see my profile picture, it's like, wow, there's another black dude who likes this content, and he's not a degenerate. He has the fitness and self-improvement in the Discord. He recommends that you take showers. He doesn't run around the store like Naruto. He doesn't, perpetuate lowly figures and all this other degenerate stuff. So when people that would be more in tune with my community, they see that, they're like, oh, this is another side that doesn't get advertised. But it's a situation of the squeakiest wheel gets the most oil. No, when you go to an anime convention, you don't look at the thousands of normal people who go there and have a good time. You look at the fools who are doing live action role play that you see in these anime cringe compilations. And it's enough where even some of my friends are like, bro, it looks fun and stuff, but I can't really rock with that. I can't really get down with that because I don't want to be associated with the community. And I don't blame them. I, at certain times, don't want to be associated with the community. But hopefully I answered that question correctly. Because I go off on too many tangents.
No, you have answered it perfectly. But you've mentioned in just the explanation and a few others before about, you usually play, or a game has to have, or a fighting game has to have a black character inside of it. So leading into that, what do you think about the rising popularity and the rising aspects of media that feature, let's say, predominantly black casts or predominantly black roles and characters, such as Black Panther, Black Lightning, one movie, one TV show, and things of that ilk?
I'd like to say I'm going to paraphrase a quote from Tupac. Remember what Tupac said, where he's like, they use the ghetto for their pain, their struggle, for their comedy, and all sorts of stuff. The continent of Africa is so rich in terms of resources, in terms of people. It is an untapped market. Black Panther just showed that you can have a really good story that has, elements of African culture and be wildly successful. The problem is the black community as a whole, they don't want to embrace the culture in which everyone stems from. Like here's a funny thing. I had this discussion with my mom. Both my parents were in the kitchen, and everybody just kind of chills like a Sunday night or whatever. And Boys in the Hood came on, and if you remember the scene where Trey is a kid, and he's being kind of like a class clown, and the teacher goes, "Hey, would you like to teach the class something?" Right? And he gets up and he starts talking about Africa, and then he goes to the hoodlum, and the hoodlum Trey goes up to him and he goes, "Well, you're from Africa as well." And he goes, "I'm not from Africa. I'm from 41st Street, Crenshaw." And I felt that scene is like a perfect example of what happens in our society today. After that scene happened, we got into discussion. And I was like, "Yeah, we're all African." My mom's like, "I'm not from Africa. I don't know, the culture and all this other nonsense." And I'm like, "You're confusing ethnicity with nationality. Yeah, nationality, you're American. You're from the United States of America. But ethnicity, your ethnic roots, you are African. You have dark melanated skin, just like me. I can look at you and say, your ancestors came from Africa." It's it's crazy how much our people have been brainwashed that they don't even want to be associated with it. And my mom is married to an African man who is my father. It's ridiculous. It blows my mind how they refuse to associate with it. But Black Panther is proof that if you go to the people who's immensely talented, who has the creative ability, it's just a lot of people don't have the resources to put it out there. Example I would like to use is I was looking at another team, esports team, Team Solo Mid. They have a black player. His name is Daquan. And I'm looking at how they got their rise to stardom with Fortnite and everything. And he was able to buy a $2,700 computer. And he was able to sit and stream without, and he was good. You know, he has parents, take care of himself. And he had some medical problems and stuff as well, which contributed to that. But not everybody has the ability. If I could take a couple African kids, give them access to the internet, give them the access to clean water and food where they don't have to struggle, and say, hey, you can go ahead and program all day. Hey, you can be the biggest African Twitch streamer. Why not? You're just as good. You're just as good as a Ninja, as a Myth, as a Tfue, as a Daquan. You're just as good as all these fools. But if you don't have the platform, if people are consistently putting down these negative stereotypes, brainwashing you, thinking, making you think a certain way, then of course you're not going to be able to get on that same level. So that's kind of my answer to that.
Very good answer. Very good answer. Because of because like I said, I've noticed that from people and how, especially with how people have been overall reacting to projects such as Black Panther and a few of the other African-oriented projects that have persisted over the past few years. Mm-hmm. But with that, I have ran through the majority of my questions. Now this is the part where, I asked, do you have anything particular that you want to bring up? Anything that you want to ask me? Anything that you would like to talk about total?
I guess I would. I want to. I guess try to find a solution. I don't know if this is just me having an internal bias, which I can't ignore, or just me seeing certain things. But it seems like if you're a Black content creator, it almost seems like you. How can I put this? Okay, it seems like I've seen some very talented, African Black content creators, but they don't get the push, or YouTube doesn't recommend their videos as much. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that it's such a struggle for content creators?
Okay, so to answer your question, so as you know, and it's not just as YouTube, it's pretty much with every social media platform, because the majority of our content from our organization, Dr. Clark's Interns, or the Dogs Board, is based, on Facebook. I've told you that before. The majority of our content is in a way social, pop culture, hip hop, and dance based education. We bring, in a way, things that most people wouldn't really know or care about in a very fun and educational way, through social media, through writing, and different things of that nature. And we recently, about 4 months ago, started doing our YouTube channel. Yes, it's exactly how it is. You do get the push if you are Black, if you create more, like you said, degenerate content. You do get that push if your content is more stereotypical and generic. Even I bring his name up again, Derek, the hip hop historian. He creates hip hop for based content from our organization, but even though it's amongst the most popular content that we make, it still doesn't get nearly as much viewership or nearly as much people reading it or responding to it as it should, because he doesn't talk about modern news and modern artists as much. He doesn't talk about drama and negative aspects of that culture. He talks about things such as how it's been created, certain aspects of the business, certain aspects of why it was created as a black art form. So because of that, even in comparison to other people who does exactly what he does, but around more, I would say, casualized content, he doesn't get that same attention. So it's so I think some people who produce the negative attention, they do get it, but like I said, they do not want for the masses to realize that people of color are actually producing positive things, that people of color are trying to do something with their lives in the perception that's based off of them in the media. So, of course, they won't get the push. I know people who produce every single day random Facebook posts, people who post inappropriate pictures online of themselves, who already have sponsorships and businesses and other business partners confronting them just because they produce things that gets the numbers. So I hope that or that has actually answered your question.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I guess it's just you have to keep grinding and open. I guess my generation was you have to make the generation woke to the more positive stuff, so we can achieve the goal that we're trying to get.
Of course, because like I said, you gave compliment or gave the compliment on the content that we make before, and almost no one that I've heard who said anything, even if it was negative about us, has said that our content has any traces of, let's say, debauchery within it. But to a lot of people, even to a lot of older people, if it doesn't have any type of debauchery within it, people don't care about it. I've been told before that the content that I produce is quote unquote boring, or that the content that I produce or that people in my organization produces isn't necessarily engaging enough, or we need to work on our editing skills. Whereas those people, anything that's not concerning, like I said again, drama, or let's say a 30-second BuzzFeed type video where you're basically spoon-fed information, they're not attracted to it. But even if that was the case, those same platforms, those same businesses, the celebrities that you worship, the artists, they had ample amounts of support from people in order for them to get to where they are. You can't expect for someone who gets 1/10 or 1/100 of the support as a more negative person does to get better, if not as much results as they do. That's unrealistic. So that's just something I want to say too.
Well, I don't think I have anything else really.
But okay, like I said, Jagan, thank you for joining me this evening / afternoon. It was very informative. It's very, very nice to have you. Please tell everyone where they can find and locate your information and your content at.
All right. Well, I make myself very easy to find on YouTube, youtube.com/evil. Well, actually, hold on. I think YouTube has a little weird thing when it comes to my channel. Let me just make sure that is the actual link. But anyway, if you just type in EvilJagan, you can find me. You can find my gaming channel. Well, it's my YouTube channel, but gaming.youtube.com/EvilJagan. YouTube.com/EvilJagan. That is evil, JAGAN. Twitter, that's at EvilJagan. And I'll soon have an Instagram at, I wonder what the name will be. Oh, that's going to be at EvilJagan as well. So you can find me. If you search my name up, you'll see my videos. Right now, you'll find a lot of fake and order stuff, but I'm trying to move away from that kind of slowly, just because of the degenerate foolishness that we talked about earlier. But when Smash Ultimate drops, you're going to see content from me. Definitely get back on the video effects and grind. I just dropped my 3 girls, 1 cleaner Fortnite video. So you can check that out and see a lot of the different types of content that I make. And hopefully we get to do this again. And hopefully by next time I'll have 10,000 subscribers instead of 5,000.
All right, and I agree with that, and I can see that happening in your future. But everyone, thank you for listening to this current episode of On the Couch with the Dogs Board. And we will see you again soon.
Adios.
Adios.